Howdy, copy gang, and welcome back to Colorful Odyssey. This is a fan project. It is not associated with Elestrals and likely completely contradicts the Elestrals canon. Also, thanks to Basic Printer for letting us use their song Ithaca as the intro music. Last time on Colorful Odyssey, Lena left Nos and went to the island of Trinokia, where Phaethusa and Lampesha were two nymphs of Helios that impeded her entry into the island. A warrior named Deucalion came with his Kerberos trying to force his way into the island, but he failed. Lena also failed to get onto the island and went to a desolate island far away and ended the day, her first day on the road, with failure. So she stayed up that night, and as we move on to today's story, she slowly wakes up. Patty, always the early riser, seems to have let her sleep in today, and that's kind of odd, but she drifts in awake, hearing the roaring of the soft tides by her, hearing the swaying of palm leaves and flickers of anisel wings as she starts rolling over on her sleeping bag, and then she sits up and rubs her eyes. And then she jolts awake. There was a boy there, a little older than her. She was 16. He was not a man by any means, but he had a little stubble on his face. He had bright blue hair and strange armor. It was a metal that she'd never seen before, and he wore colored blue leathers. By him was a hulking Elestral. It was bigger than him. It was blue with feathered wings and bulky head. She'd seen an Elestral similar to this in her hometown, and she assumed that this must be a Nexus form of it. Likely, judging by the wings, the Wind Nexus form of it. She determined that this would probably be the Wind Nexus of Heliolith, an Elestral that she had seen in her town. She knew that they were guardians, and they were very friendly to people as long as they were respectful to them, but she had never seen a caster that had tamed one before. Lena scooted back. Who are you? In her head, she saw visions of what he might do to her. She might disappear forever, or take all of her things on her second day of the journey, again, a way for her to end up a failure. Would she starve to death on this island after he'd taken all of her things? But then she noticed Patty was sitting on his arm, and he had his palm open, and Patty was eating out of it. And he said, Oh, sorry there, little tree frog. My name's Cyrus. Nice to meet you. This is Naban, my aviolith. The monolith, waved his big wing. Hello. Lena started catching her breath and trying to slow down. She still couldn't speak. Now she felt less threatened, and she started to realize there was something about this boy that struck out to her. Maybe it was his swooping blue hair. Maybe it was his defined features. Maybe it was the sword at his side. I don't know, there was something about him that captivated her. He said, Hey, you don't need to worry. It's okay. I'm guessing you're pretty new to traveling. Well, I've been traveling for about a month. I left for my journey. I have to go find the four winds. I haven't really gotten any of them yet, but I'm working on it. She managed to say, Lena managed to pipe out, Oh, you're on a journey too? He said, Yes, I'm traveling for the god Aeolus. He told me if I find the four winds for him that he'll give me the ship of my dreams. See, I've always wanted to travel the world, and I'll need something a little stronger than this aviolith here. He does good, though. He does really good. The aviolith seemed to blush a little bit. Lena sat up and stood up. She said, Oh, really? Well, I'm on a quest too. I'm on a quest for the goddess Iris. She told me if I find 100 stellar Elestrals, then she'll grant me one wish. He opened his eyes wide, goes, "Wow, really? That's so broad. What are you wishing for?" And she paused. She didn't know what she was wishing for. She knew that she wanted something to help her family, to help her community, to make the world a better place, but she figured she would figure out what that was along the way. Her hesitation rung out to Cyrus, and he said, "Oh, so, still working on that. That's totally cool. Uh, have you, how far into the quest are you? 100? That sounds like a lot." Lena looked down and she said, "Yeah, um, I have one so far." This seemed to take Cyrus a little aback. One? Okay, look, that's no problem. Everybody's got to start somewhere, right? I'm guessing this Peagleam is yours. She said, "Yeah, that's Patty." Well, Naban has certainly taken a liking to him. Peagleam jumped up and sat on the Aviola's shoulder. He said, Cyrus said, "So I didn't notice any stellar Elestrals on this island. Why are you here?" Lena replied, "Well, uh, I went to the island nearby. It's called Trinokia, and I was blocked off by the guardians of the island. I've heard that they have a stellar soul stocks and maybe even a stellar soul bell as well." Cyrus said, "Hmm, Trinokia, I think that's the island of Helios. It is supposed to be very dangerous. You know, I did see yesterday, a herd of migrating. And in that herd, I saw a stellar celestial." Lena beamed up really quickly. "For real?" He said, Yeah. The Foamees always migrate about this time of year. They go just a little south to warmer waters, to fresher bays. And I saw a huge pile of them, and there was a stellar capregal as one of the guards, making sure the migration went smoothly." Lena walked forward. "You have to take me." He said, "Oh, okay. Definitely, I can take you over there." Lena's stomach started growling. She said, "I might need breakfast first." He laughed a little bit. "It'll give me time to do some navigation and mapping anyway." Lena went around. There were a lot of Anacell and Larvacell on the island, and they were intrigued with Patty, playing around with uh, Naban and Patty, and helped Lena gather some fruit for breakfast. They helped make little sparks. The larvacells would uh, twist their little antenna, and sparks would come out a little bit, just enough to start a little fire for Lena to even roast some of the pears on the island. She ate a while, and then afterwards she came and checked on Cyrus. He had a couple of big maps spread out that had a lot of islands drawn on them with careful detail. It looked like a fine map. Lena seemed really impressed, and Cyrus picked up on that. He said, "Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Got a compass and a nice astrolabe to go along with them. This cost a pretty penny back where I'm from." Lena wanted to say, "Where are you from?" But she was just so in awe looking at this fine brown paper and all the cute little islands with little names, including her own island, Nos, the island of Trinokia where she had just been, and even this little island was named Tripodosha. So she she was being quiet. She was pausing, and Cyrus said, "Oh, where am I from?" Yeah, I'm from the inland nations, a place called Babel. Not too great relations with the people out here, but I found everybody that I've come across relatively amicable. Anyway, I think I've got our course mapped. Are you ready to go?" Lena said, I'm more than ready. She went over and loaded up her boat. It wasn't too unpacked from the day before, and Patty jumped on. Cyrus sat on the boat with her, but he dismissed Aviolith, who faded into the sky. He said that he could summon him back anytime he needed to. And they began on their trail. They went about an hour and a half uh, through coursing waters. They saw various Elestrals. They saw Nemicels flying by. They saw uh, Javelances popping in and out of the water. They saw Veritaquas under the water. They um, saw a galaxy breaching far away from them. And they kept drifting through the water as the sun rose above them and heated their backs, and then continued going further in the sky. Cyrus pulled out a fishing pole. He seemed to be traveling lighter than Lena, but it seemed like all the things that he had were very useful. He caught a fish while they were moving. And then about midday, he pointed at the horizon and said, I think that's it. Look. And Lena went and looked at the horizon, and what she saw was a big blob of white. Is that a Foamee? She had seen Foamees before. They were relatively common passing by her island. And they didn't quite look like 20-foot piles of foam. He said, yes, they pile up because they're not the greatest swimmers. Lena said, okay. And as they pulled closer, she was so shocked by the sight she saw. About 50 Foamees were piled on top of each other, writhing and trying to climb up to avoid swimming. The ones at the bottom were struggling to swim. It seemed like these were pretty young Foamees. They're still learning their ways about. There were 6 or 7 Capregal herding all the Foamees. And then Lena saw it. On the opposite side of the giant pile of Foamees was a Capregal, a large ram fish with a red head and blue scales, contrasting the holy blue other Capregals. Lena felt adrenaline start pumping, and she began to get excited. Foamees began swimming up to the boat and climbing up a little bit to greet them. They seemed really happy that they had visitors. Lena guided the boat over to the Capregal. She pulled out her coin. The coin that Iris had given her was made of glass and always had a little shimmer to it. But she held it up to look at the Capregal through the coin. And she saw a rainbow flash through the coin, and she knew that she had officially seen her second stellar Elestral. Lena felt a lot of weight come off her shoulders. She could feel tears welling up in her eyes from joy, and she felt a lot of satisfaction. Cyrus looked next to her. He kept smiling. He felt so good to just help somebody out. He didn't really know this girl, but now he felt like they did have some sort of connection, and that she was important to him. The Capregal came up to them and cautiously moved his head around, observing them. Lena said, "It's okay. I just wanted to see you. I'm on a quest from the goddess Iris." And she pulled out a leftover piece of fruit from her bag and gave it to him. The Capregal leaned forward, picked the pear out of her hand, and gnashed it in his teeth. And he lifted his head, did a little bleeding sound, and did a backflip. He fell through the water, causing a big splash that scattered gleaming orbs of water around, and then he popped back out about 20 feet away. The other Foamees began doing a little dance, it seemed like. Several of them were crying, trying to get out of the water while they struggled. Several Capregal would just pop in and help them in such cases. But the ones that were comfortably on the pile or attached to something that could keep them going steady started wiggling their little back ends and did a little goat song. There were a lot of little bleeding foamies that were all making the same beats going up and down, and it sounded like a little strange, ugly lullaby. Lena and Cyrus waved to the foamies as they left, and they continued into the rest of their day. And that's our story today. Thank you for listening. Um, I think a takeaway for today is that it's okay to accept help. There's so many things in our society that make you want to feel bad for accepting help that you might need or help that you might want, help that might just be good for you because it's a network that like helps you find other people and to feel less isolated. And it's okay to accept that help. It's okay to broaden your horizons, to meet new people, to learn new people. You don't have to expect anything out of them. But sometimes that's all you need. Well, thank you so much for listening to part 3. I hope you have a fantastic day. I believe you.